Well, hey, good Tuesday to you guys. I hope you're doing well. We've got some things to talk about, including the rain and snow showers that we're dealing with in the Northeast and around the Great Lakes, even as far south as the Southern Appalachians, plus a snowstorm on the way across the West. I think that's looking more and more likely now, especially as we head toward the end of the week, plus two tropical systems that we're watching, at least areas for development. First, let's start with what's going on across the country right now. We've got this cold pool of air here spinning around the Great Lakes. We have a trough and upper low. We've got rain and snow showers here into the Appalachians, also into the Northeast. We've seen some snow in a few areas trying to mix with rain into the UP of Michigan, up into the Arrowhead of Minnesota. But overall, still a little too warm for much snow, but still, nonetheless, it's cold enough that we are talking about snow. So you are likely feeling the cool down, and that will continue as we head into Wednesday too. Eventually things will start to dry out. High pressure building in here, nice and dry across the central U.S. And then here comes our next storm into the West Coast. That's going to start to bring rain and snow into the Pacific Northwest. So some snow for the Cascades, up into the Canadian Rockies. Eventually that system starts to get stronger as it moves into the Intermountain West, and snow is starting to look more and more likely for places like the northern mountains of Utah, places like Yellowstone, and maybe even as far south as the Sierra. So that's something that I think we'll have to iron out a little more detail on the track of this, but it's looking more and more likely as we head into Friday and Saturday. Cool Canadian high pressure building into the eastern U.S. as we head into the weekend, and a decent onshore flow here into Florida. That's going to mean some beach erosion, some high surf. That's going to protect us from some tropical development, I think, that's trying to get going down here into the parts of the Caribbean. But still, we'll definitely feel the winds, and we'll see that beach erosion. Strong southwest flow here on the backside of the high, too. That's going to cause our temperatures to go up across the plains. So highs will really start to warm up, even into the upper Midwest places. Even as far east, I think, as Michigan will start to feel that warmth as we head into the weekend, too, as this high starts to slip off to the east and our temperatures modify. This area of low pressure out here in the Rockies is going to bring some snow. We've talked about that here. That will start to almost collapse and fall in on itself. And then as we head into the following week, there could be some severe weather here around the 21st with this system here as it kicks to the east. So this will be an area to watch. Really, I think the 20th into the 21st, and then that moves into Canada. And let me tell you something. This pattern that we're in looks to be active. I think there's multiple shots of cold air for the Northeast. You don't really want to believe the GFS once it gets out way in time. It starts to do these weird feedback things, but this really active pattern continues. October is a month of surprises, it seems, in the weather world, so we may be in for one. There is some snow in the west. We've talked about that, some light accumulations into parts of the Northeast and the Appalachians, but again, I'm looking into the tropics too. You've got to watch this area. We've been watching this area of showers and thunderstorms really since it was out here moving off the coast of Africa. That has continued to move east. It will continue to do so, and as it does, it's going to move into an area that's a little more favorable for tropical development. Lower wind shear, warm waters, but as it moves closer into the Caribbean, and really, I guess it really just depends on where it goes, it's going to encounter some land here. It's also, or at least the islands, but it's also going to be moving into an area where there's going to be a little more wind shear. At least it looks that way as we head toward the end of the week. Here's what some of the models are doing, bringing that area of thunderstorms, again, pretty much in line with what they're looking at the National Hurricane Center somewhere here. By the time it gets very close to the Bahamas, it's going to start to feel quite a bit of wind shear. You've got high pressure to the north too. At this point, what's going to be pushing the waves into Florida also may actually keep this system a little bit further south. So again, will it even develop? That's the question too at this point, but it's worth watching. Well below average temperatures right now across the east. Our temperatures going above average, as I showed you on the back side of that high over the next couple of days. Here's a quick closer look at some of that precip we're dealing with today into the east. And in the Northeast, too, some rain and snow showers. They start to wind down as we head into the overnight and really into Wednesday. It's kind of interesting to look here, even into Wednesday night. Look at this, keeping a few snow showers flying into the high elevations of West Virginia. Eventually, everything calms down. And it's really cold, too. I mean, that's the thing, too. We've been talking about this multiple days. The cold weather in North Carolina with snow showers flying, and there's a lot of folks still without power. So you hate to see that. Across the Northeast, snow showers will actually start to pick up as we head into the Green and White Mountains tonight into early Wednesday morning, and then things settle down pretty quickly. This will be interesting to watch, too. We've got this cold pool of air here, surface low off the coast. What's happening here? Do these start to interact? Does this pull a little bit further to the west? Well, as of right now, it looks like this is not going to happen. High pressure building in quickly. That should keep that out to sea and move it out pretty quickly. Not a lot of snow in the forecast across the Northeast. There could be a couple of inches into some of the highest elevations of the Adirondacks, the Green and White Mountains. Also into the Appalachians. I think you got to get pretty high up before you see any type of accumulation here. Across the west, though, snow levels start to drop. We've briefly talked about that, but look, this snow could get heavy here into parts of the Wasatch, really even into parts of Arizona, maybe as far south as New Mexico and southwest Colorado. So this, again, could be our first snow of the season for these areas. And it's been pretty dry here, too, and hot. So a different weather pattern setting up here with some areas seeing more than 10, 12 inches of snow, maybe more in the highest elevation. So a decent snow across the west. Across the east, though, here's the cold that's moving in. Temperatures are cold today in the morning, but we're going to see even colder temperatures heading into tomorrow morning with a lot of areas getting below freezing. Temperatures do start to modify, though. Another cold morning, at least for the Northeast and here into the eastern states as we head into Thursday. But that warm air quickly trying to move in from the west and southwest, so numbers on the way back up. High temperatures and morning lows also will start to modify heading into the weekend. And it has been hot across the southwest. Phoenix in the 90s again today, and also into the Central Valley. But we do see a cool down moving in with that system. So by the time we move into, look at this, by the time we get into Friday, highs in the 80s. Saturday, we may not even really get out of the 70s. We may not even get it out of the 60s in some areas, close to 70 for Phoenix and the far southwest. So that's what we've got going on right now. If you've enjoyed this content, I hope you'll come back and subscribe. And have a great Tuesday wherever you are. See you next time right here.